हेलो दोस्तों, बिगनर्स माइंड में आपका स्वागत है। और अभी हम कर रहे हैं इकोनॉमिक्स। ठीक है, इससे पहले की वीडियो नहीं देखी है तो फिर प्लेलिस्ट बना रखी है, उसमें जाकर आप देख सकते हैं। 9th से लेकर के 12th तक की कंप्लीट है उसमें। ठीक है, मतलब 12th की अब कंप्लीट हो जाएंगी। एम्प्लॉयमेंट, ग्रोथ, इंफॉर्मेशनलाइजेशन एंड अदर इश्यूज। ग्रोथ, इंफॉर्मेशनलाइजेशन एंड अदर इश्यूज जितने भी थे उस पर चर्चा करेंगे। सबसे पहले इस बात करते हैं इंट्रोडक्शन। People do a variety of work. Some work on farms, in factories, banks, shops, and many other workplaces. Yet a few others work at home. Work at home includes not only traditional work like weaving, lace making, or variety of handicrafts, but also modern jobs like programming, work in the IT industry. Earlier, factory work meant working in factories located in cities, whereas now technology has enabled people to produce those factory based goods at home in village. During COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 to 21, millions of workers delivered their products and services through work from home. Why do people work? Work plays an important role in our lives as individuals and as members of society. People work for earning a living. Some people get or have money by inheriting it, not working for it. This does not completely satisfy anybody. Being employed in work gives us a sense of self worth and enables us to relate ourselves meaningfully with others. Every working person is actively contributing to national income and hence the development of the country by engaging in various economic activities. That is the real meaning of earning a living. We do not work only for ourselves. हम सिर्फ अपने लिए मेहनत नहीं कमाते बल्कि we also have a sense of accomplishment when we work to meet the requirements of those who are dependent on us. जो हमारे पे डिपेंडेंट हैं हम उनके लिए भी कमाते हैं. Having recognized the importance of work, Mahatma Gandhi insisted upon education and training through a variety of works including craft. Studying about working people gives us insights into the quality and nature of employment in a country and helps in understanding and planning our human resources. It helps us to analyze the contribution made by different industries and sectors towards national income. It also helps us to address many social issues such as exploitation of marginalized sections of the society, child labor, etc. Workers and employment. What is employment? Who is a worker? When a farmer works on field, he or she produces food grains and raw materials for industries. Cotton becomes cloth in textile mills and in power looms. Lorries transport goods from one place to another. We know that the total money value of all such final goods and services produced in a country in a year is called its gross domestic product for that year. When we also consider what we pay for our imports and get from our exports, we find that there is a net earning for the country which may be positive if we have exported more in value terms than imported, or negative if imports exceeded exports in value terms, or zero if exports and imports were to of the same value. When we add this earning plus or minus from foreign transactions, what we get, it's called the country's gross national product for that year. Those activities which contribute to the gross national product are called economic activities. All those who are engaged in economic activities in whatever capacity, high or low, are workers. Even if some of them temporarily abstain from work due to illness, injury, or other physical disability, bad weather, festivals, social or religious functions, they are also workers. Workers also include all those who help the main workers in these activities. We generally thinking of only those who are paid by an employer for their work as workers. This is not so. Those who are self employed are also workers. जो भी खुद कमाते हैं वो भी क्या हैं? Workers हैं. The nature of employment in India is multifaceted. Some get employment throughout the year, some others get employed for only a few months in a year. Many workers do not get fair wages for their work. While estimating the number of workers, all those who are engaged in economic activities are included as employed. You might be interested in knowing the number of people actively engaged in various economic activities during 2022-23. India had about a 545 million strong workforce since majority of our people reside in rural areas. The proportion of workforce residing there is higher. The rural workers constitute about two-thirds of this for 71 million men from the majority of workforce in India. About 77% of the workers are men and the rest are women. Men and women include child laborers in respective sexes. Women workers account for one-fourth of the rural workforce, whereas in urban areas they are just one-fifth of the workforce. Women carry out works like cooking, fetching water and fuel wood, and participate in farm labor. They are not paid wages in cash or in the form of grains. At times, they are not paid at all. For this reason, these women are not categorized as workers. Economists argue that these women should also be called workers. What do you think? Participation of people in employment. Worker population ratio is an indicator which is used for analyzing the employment situation in the country. This ratio is useful in knowing the proportion of population that is actively contributing to the production of goods and services of the country. If the ratio is higher, it means that the engagement of people is greater. If the ratio for a country is medium or low, it means that a very high proportion of its population is not involved directly in economic activities. You might have already studied in lower classes the meaning of the term population. Population is defined as the total number of people who reside in a particular locality locality at a particular point of time. If you want to know the worker population ratio for India, divide the total number of workers in India by the population in India and multiply it by 100. You will get the worker population ratio for India. If you look at table 6.1, it shows the different levels of participation of people in economic activities for every 100 persons. About 41 by rounding of 41.1 are workers in India. In rural urban areas, the proportion is about 38, whereas in rural India, the ratio is about 42. Why is there such a difference? People in rural areas have limited resources to earn a higher income and participate more in the employment market. Many do not go to schools, colleges, and other training institutions. Even if some go, they discontinue in the middle to join the workforce, whereas in urban areas, a considerable section is able to study in various educational institutions. Urban people have a variety of employment opportunities. They look for the appropriate job to suit their qualifications and skills. In rural areas, people cannot stay at home as their economic condition may not allow them to do so. Compared compared to females, more males are found to be working. The difference in participation rates is very large in urban areas. For every 100 urban females, only about 19 are engaged in some economic activities. In rural areas, for every 100 rural women, about 30 participate in the employment market. Why are women in general and urban women in particular not working? It is common to find that where men are able to earn high incomes, families discourage female members from taking up jobs. Going back to what has already been mentioned above, many household activities done by women are not recognized as productive work. This narrow definition of work leads to non recognition of women's work and therefore to the underestimation of the number of women workers in the country. Think of the women actively engaged in many activities within the house and at family farms who are not paid for such work, as they certainly contribute to the maintenance of the household and farms. Do you think that their number should be added to the number of women workers, self-employed and hired workers? Does the worker population ratio say anything about workers' status in society or about the working conditions? By knowing the status with which a worker is placed in an enterprise, it may be possible to know one dimension quality of employment in a country. It also enables us to know the attachment a worker has with his or her job and the authority she or he has over the enterprises and over the other co-workers. Let us take the three workers from the construction industry: a cement shop owner, a construction worker, and a civil engineer of a construction company. Since the status of each one of them is different from another, they are also called differently. Workers who own and operate an enterprises to earn their livelihood are known as self-employed. Thus, the cement shop owner is self-employed. About 57% workforce in India belongs to this category. The construction workers are known as casual wage laborers. They account for about 22% of India's workforce. Such laborers are casually engaged in others' farm and in return get a remuneration for the work done. Workers like the civil engineer working in the construction company account for 21% of India's workforce. When a worker is engaged by someone or an enterprise and paid his or her wages on a regular basis, they are known as regular salaried employees. Look at chart 6.1. You will notice that self-employment is a major source of livelihood for both men and women, as this category accounts for more than 50% of the workforce. Casual wage work in is the second major source for women when it comes to regular. अब 6.1 में क्या है? डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ एम्प्लॉयमेंट बाय जेंडर. मेल वर्कर कितने हो जाएंगे? 23%. सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयड कितने? 54%. कैजुअल वेजेस लेबरर्स ये हैं 23%. और रेगुलर सैलरीड एम्प्लॉयज़ 23%. ऐसे ही इसमें भी है फीमेल वर्कर्स में. 6.2 डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ एम्प्लॉयमेंट बाय रीजन. उसके बाद कैजुअल वेज लेबर्स 13%, सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयमेंट 40%, रेगुलर सैलरीड एम्प्लॉयज़ 47%. 13% इसमें कौन से हैं? रूरल वर्कर्स में, जो कि हैं रूरल रेगुलर सैलरीड एम्प्लॉयज़. 26% कैजुअल वेजेस लेबरर्स. 61% कौन है? सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयड. Salaried employment. Men are found to be so engaged in greater proportion. Men from 24% whereas women from 17%. The gap between men and women is very less. When we compare the distribution of workforce in rural urban areas in chart 6.2, you will notice that the self-employed are found more in rural areas than in urban areas. In the latter, both self-employment and regular wage salaried jobs are greater in rural areas, since majority of those depending on farming own plots of land and cultivate independently, the share of self-employed is greater. The nature of work in urban areas is different. Obviously, everyone cannot run factories, shops, and offices to various types. Moreover, enterprises in urban areas require workers on a regular basis. Employment in firms, factories, and offices. In the course of economic development of a country, labor flows from agriculture and other related activities to industry and services. In this process, workers migrate from rural to urban areas eventually. At a much later stage, the industrial sector begins to lose its share of total employment as the service sector enters a period of rapid expansion. This shift can be understood by looking at the distribution of workers by industry. Generally, we divided all economic activities into 8 different industrial divisions. They are agriculture, mining and quarrying, manufacturing, electricity, gas, water supply, construction, trade, transport and storage, and services. For simplicity, all the working persons engaged in these divisions can be clubbed into three major sectors: viz. Primary sector, which includes first and second; secondary sector, which includes third, fourth, and fifth; and C, service sector, which includes divisions 6th, 7th, or 8th. Table 6.2 shows the distribution of working persons in different industries during the year 2022-2023. Primary sector is the main source of employment for majority of workers. In India, secondary sector provides employment to only about 25% of workforce. About 29% of workers are in the service sector. Table 6.2 also shows that about 60% of the workforce in rural India depends on agriculture, forestry, and fishing. About 23% of rural workers are working in manufacturing industries, construction, and other industrial activities. Service sector provides employment to about 20% of rural workers. Agriculture is not a major source of employment in urban areas where people are mainly engaged in the service sector. About 60% of urban workers are in the service sector. The secondary sector gives employment to about one third of urban workforce. Though both men and women workers are concentrated in the primary sector, women workers concentration is very high there. About 64% of the female workforce is employed in the primary sector, whereas 38% of male work in that sector. Men get opportunities in both secondary and service sectors. और इसके साथ ये वाली क्लास होती है ख़त्म। अब ये स्टार्ट करेंगे हम अगली क्लास से।